In 2009, high-definition video was really catching on, but it was still quite expensive. Even a low-end HD camcorder cost around $500. So Samsung came up with the idea of introducing a camcorder which recorded in standard definition and then upscaled it to HD through an HDMI output. This is the SMX-K40. There was also the SMX-K45, which was the same thing with 32 gigs of memory built in. The K40 does not have any built-in memory, so you have to use an SD card. Around the box it says 1920 by 1080 playback via HDMI. It says the cable is sold separately. And it says high-end HD-like memory camcorder. 65 times IntelliZoom, a Schneider lens, comes with IntelliStudio software, 2.7-inch LCD, optical image stabilization. Over here it says it takes 1.9 megapixel photos. So looking at the box, there's no real giveaway clue that it's not a real HD camcorder, except where it says HD-like. Doesn't say it actually records in standard definition and just upscales it. So we open up the box here and we get our software disk, we get our quick start guide, a warranty registration card, typical thing saying don't return it to the store. If you need help, contact the manufacturer. Inside the box we get an AC adapter, we get our composite AV cable, and a USB cable. Like the box says, there is no HDMI cable included. And here is the camcorder itself. It says 65 times IntelliZoom, HDMI, and this is probably the most misleading sticker on the whole thing. Full HD 1080, and then it says playback in parentheses. It says 6 to 10 hours of an optional battery, not included, and optical image stabilizer. Behind this door on the back we get our HDMI output, the USB connection, the standard AV output, and the port for the charger. There's also a mode button and the recording button. On the top we get our zoom lever and a photo button, and the microphone is also on top of the lens. We get this rather cheap feeling vinyl hand strap. On the front is the Schneider lens with an automatic lens cover, and it has lens threads on it as well, so you can put it on a wide angle lens or a fisheye lens or whatever you want. On the bottom is the single tripod screw without a locator pin. And under the door we get our battery and an SD card slot. The battery is a 3.7 volt 4.8 watt hour lithium ion. Opening up the LCD, we see a few additional controls here. There's an on-off button, a button for the optical image stabilizer, a button for the backlight compensation, something called an iView button, and an Easy Q button, which works similarly to the Easy mode on Sony's Handycams. And you can see right here, HD output on or off switch. That just turns on the HDMI output on the back. It doesn't affect anything about the way the camcorder actually records. And here is the LCD itself with a menu button, a joystick which also functions as a zoom. For some reason, whenever you turn on the camcorder, it's always slightly zoomed in, so you have to zoom it out a little bit. And then down here we get our recording button, which is the same thing as the one on the back. This is not a touchscreen, so you navigate it using the menu button and the joystick. If you push on the joystick, you get additional manual controls. And going through the menus here, it has all kinds of scene modes. This is an NTSC model, so the resolution it uses is 720 by 480. And it records in a broken MP4 format. Basically, in the file's metadata, it claims to be a progressive 3:2 aspect ratio video when it's actually an interlaced 16:9 video. So in order to play back or edit it correctly, you have to manually tell your software the correct settings for the video, or else it'll come out wrong. And that broken interlaced MP4 video format was not exclusive to this model. It was common to all of Samsung's standard definition flash memory camcorders, so I can only imagine how many people bought one of these Samsung camcorders because they were cheap and they used them to record a couple of videos, but when they tried to edit the video on their computer they just gave up because they could never get it to come out right. It's also a problem if you try to upload videos directly from this camcorder to YouTube. It'll come out with the wrong aspect ratio because YouTube looks at the file's metadata, which says it's a 3:2 video, when in fact it's either a 16:9 or a 4:3 video. So you'll need to add that tag, either YT:stretch equals 16:9 or YT:stretch equals 4:3, depending on which aspect ratio you use when you record. You'll need to use that if you want to directly upload files from this camcorder to YouTube. And especially with this model, people would be disappointed if they try to hook it up to their HD TV through that HDMI output, and they realize the image quality is nowhere near as good as real HD. In fact, even compared to other standard definition camcorders, this one is really not that great. It's a rather mediocre image sensor they used in there, because I'm using a JVC standard definition camcorder right now to record this part of the video, and it has a much sharper and clearer image than the Samsung here. Perhaps the one good thing about the Samsung is that the optical image stabilizer actually works very well, even at full zoom. So that's the one good thing about it, but otherwise the image quality is quite mediocre and the audio quality is pretty bad as well. That's another thing common to pretty much all Samsung camcorders. They overboost the auto gain control to a very loud level, even in quiet environments. So when you do take the camcorder into a loud environment, such as riding in a car or at a concert with loud music playing or something like that, you can really hear the audio limiter kicking in excessively and causing the audio to come out very choppy sounding. Plus the stereo separation is not that great either. But I'll let you judge for yourself how you think the quality of this camcorder is with the following test footage I recorded. I will not be upscaling this video to HD because that's just a waste of bandwidth. If you want to see it in fake HD, you can just expand it to full screen on your computer if you have an HD resolution monitor, and then you can see for yourself how this would look through the HDMI output on an HD TV. What was that supposed to mean? But considering that this doesn't even look that great in standard definition, prepare to be disappointed. A quick test of the Samsung in bright indoor lighting. An audio test of the Samsung.
Time after time, if you look together, and you will find it. Time after time, if you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting. Time after time.
Now here's a darker room inside. Here's a test of that 65 times IntelliZoom with optical image stabilization. This is fully zoomed in, holding the camcorder by hand. So it's not a very steady image, but considering that 65 times zoom handheld, it's not too bad. Surrounded by Audis.
Your kiss, I can't resist, because your kiss is what I miss when I turn off the light. I go crazy, wondering what there is to really see.
The low light performance of this camcorder is not very good, and there is no built-in LED to help it. This camcorder does have something it calls C-Night mode. Right now it's turned off. Now I have C-Night set to auto, which doesn't seem to make anything brighter, it just makes it look more orangey. And now the C-Night mode is set to 1/30 shutter speed, which definitely does make things brighter, although it still doesn't look that good. You can see a lot of graininess on this cabinet here. And finally, there's a 1/15 shutter speed, which really makes things brighter, although you can see how much it slows down the shutter speed and makes everything look choppy. Testing the zoom outside. Because it's windy outside, I now have this wind cut feature turned on. See if that makes any difference. So this camcorder is not very good in low light. In fact, it's not really good for anything. It's just a cheap low-end camcorder that Samsung decided to put an HDMI connector on it and basically turn it into a fake HD camcorder. And Samsung has made plenty of standard definition camcorders just like this without the HDMI connector, but I don't recommend those either because of the generally poor audio and video quality and because of the broken interlaced MP4 format that they record in.
$20 in my pocket. I'm looking for a cover. This is being awesome.
It's another feel-good weekend.
On 103.5 KTU.